Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Ilan Coven. We will be talking about how to bring your family business to an end. There's a lot of issues that we need to discuss, and this is going to take in a form of a forum. Now, let me give you a brief outline of what we are in for today. Now, basically, when we talk about family business, it ranges from nasi lemak business to high corporate business. Like what we have looked into today, we have brought a very experienced guest speaker today, the name of Victor Fu. Now, when we look about family business, the owners, when we bring the owners for a forum and we ask them to brief about the forum, and normally we get different views. Now, Victor Fu does not own a family business, but he actually worked for a big corporation. Now, we need to get a secondary feedback from someone who has been so experienced. If you ask the owner, how is your business doing? They will always give you an answer. We are doing great, right? It's the same. We always have this situation, what we do is always right. Now, let me give you in the academic view or point. If you write a research paper, you always think your paper is the best until you get the reviewers comment. When you do your PhD, you always think that your PhD work is absolutely good until you go for your wife. So the same goes to business people, especially the top corporate people. Believe me, all top corporate people will never tell you what they are facing, especially during the pandemic situation now. So this is one of the reasons why we have selected a person who have been much experienced in the field of hospitality management, the person who has gained a lot of experience over 40 years. And this person is going to give the feedback as a secondary feedback, not the direct feedback. Let me introduce to you our guest for today. Now, the guest for today is none other than Mr. Victor Fu Yip Ot. Now, Mr. Victor has 40 years experience in all aspects of management in the hotel, leisure industry since 1980. Well, some of you presenters or rather participants today probably would not have born at that time. Now, let's hear from Mr. Victor later of what he has to say. Victor Fu has joined Genting Highlands Resort in 1994 as a residence manager and was promoted as the vice president of Highlands Hotel in 1997. In 2006, he was promoted as the vice president overseeing Resort Hotel, Theme Park Hotel, Ria Kayangan Apartment. In 2017, Victor was the vice president of the hotel operations of 5 properties. And during this time, Genting was awarded the Forbes Travel Guide Star. He was the recipient for Hospitality Asia Platinum Award 2010-2012. Victor was also the career track advisor board for Cornell Nanyang Institute of Hospitality Management and panel member of CNI to Leaders Rating and Ranking Roundtable. Victor pursued management hotel courses in Switzerland. Les Roche, sorry for my pronunciation, all right, from 1981 to 84. Victor also is very fluent in French and German. So if any of you would like to converse in French and German, this is your time. He completed professional development program from Cornell University, USA in 1995, senior management development program, Harvard Business School in 2000, general managers program, Cornell Nanyang University, management in 2008, and professional certificate as certified hotel administrator. Victor also holds a master's in international hospitality management from Taylor's University. This is one of the reasons that we have actually called one of our alumni to share on today's topic. Now, I have 2 other panel members who will be working very close with me to pose some discussion and question. Let's introduce Dr. Faranita. Now, Dr. Faranita is currently the senior lecturer with the business faculty at Taylor's University. She received her PhD from Lancaster University, UK. Prior to that, she obtained a master's research in management science from ESEDI Business School, Spain, an MBA from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Her research centers around family business entrepreneurship, innovation, and university-industry collaboration, particularly using qualitative research method. So if anyone would like to learn about qualitative research method, please do not hesitate to contact Dr. Paranita. All right. Our next panel member is Dr. Lim Boon Byong, a senior member of the Faculty of Law and Business, Taylor's University, since completing his PhD from University of Putra, and he has also completed an MBA from East Anglia University. Dr. Lin's research focus has been on the area of corporate political strategy, business ethics, and corporate social responsibility. Dr. Lin's key research area is in corporate social responsibility, focuses on green environmental practices, and in relationship to organizational practices and performance. Dr. Lin has published numerous articles in refereed journals, including Journal Index by Thomson Web Science, SSCI, and Scopus. His publication includes Business Strategy and Environment, Corporate Social Responsibility, Environmental Management, the North American Economic and Finance, Sustainability, International Journals of Economic and Management, International Financial Study, Industrial Marketing Management, Administration Science, Journal of Cleaner Production, Geo Journal, and Environmental Science and Pollution Research. Wow, that's a lot. All right. So anyone who would like to share anything, probably not during the forum or even after the forum, you're most welcome to do. And I am Ilan Coben. I will be your host today. Nothing much to introduce about myself. I've been with the School of Hospitality for the past 10 years. And for the last 4 years, I was with the School of Business. My PhD basically is in management. I'm a trainer by practice. I conduct a lot of corporate hospitality and educational training. I have actually developed training modules for hospitality, all right? And currently I'm working on micro-credential programs. Well, that's about from me. And I would like to now invite Mr. Victor Fu. Now, before I invite Mr. Victor Fu, there is a small announcement here, right? On the 27th of March, all right, there will be an Earth Hour 2021. So please be vigilant about this. For further information, you can actually refer to the email sent out about 2-3 days ago. And hope all of you can actually make yourself available to observe this Earth Hour. So without any ado, I would like to invite Mr. Victor Fu, our guest speaker for today, to present his topic on how to bring your family business through this pandemic. To you, Mr. Victor Fu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ilan. And I'd like to say good morning to everyone and to the panel members, Dr. Faranita, Dr. Lin, and the coordinator, Connie. I'm glad to be invited for this forum, and it's basically a Q&A session. I don't have a lot of slides to present. So I need to know what's in your mind, and if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. And I'll try my very best to share whatever experience that I have. And of course, recently, I think everybody is fully aware that this pandemic has just passed like yesterday. 1 year just went by so quickly, and we practically did not do many things though. Couldn't do much things. And let's hope that we'll get over this as soon as possible. And looking for better recovery to come for everybody, and being safe and healthy. So basically, I've got only one slide to show on how you should react during COVID-19 situation. If you look at it closely, it has got when it newly started, we basically encompass a fear zone. And the fear zone will cover things like, how you feel about the situation, and also how you react to the situation of being fearful, which is natural, or for such new epidemic that has just happened. The next level basically covers the area of learning zone. How do we cope up with it? How do we control it? Um, we should not be giving up. We should identify our emotions, because a lot of us are locked into our our house. It's not easy because social life has changed, our lifestyle has changed, everything has changed. The third one is growth zone. I think this is the area that we should all look into it, and how we can think of ways to make things better, be it for yourself, your family, or your company, or wherever you're working for, and the general community at large. And if you have talents, share with them on how you can share your talents to help people along. Live in the present. However, don't keep being sad about the current situation. Move forward, because what is past, and we have to move forward. Be empathetic with yourself and others. Appreciate, and includes being grateful for things that you have currently in your life at the moment. Be happy, because you need to have a good emotional situation and mindset in order to be able to add in value to whatever you're doing. And looking for ways to adapt to changes. Last but not least, practice patience, relationship, and be open with new ideas and creativity that can do at your workplace, or even at your personal life, and in a personal capacity. All right, I think Dr. Ilan has already given quite a huge intro about my background. I'm already retired since June last year, and I'm available to assist anybody who wants to contact me for whatever reason. And I think my contact can be given from by Connie from Taylor's, and I'll be more than happy. So without further ado, I'll open the floor to everybody else, to the forum, to the panel, and to the audience today, to ask everything you feel like asking. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Victor Fu. We will ask questions, all right? The panel members will ask the questions first, after which we will allow the audience to pose some important questions, all right? It can be controversial if you want, but not too controversial, all right? So the entire topic Mr. Victor Fu mentioned was the running business during the pandemic, all right? All of us have gone through this. As an academicians, we are all struggling to try and give our best to our students on many other issues. Now, talking about pandemic, many organizations have closed down. This is totally unacceptable. In the strategic management view, we call it as a residual factor, where we never expected things to come in. Now, that is why we all study the strategic management, trying to figure out what is in store for us tomorrow. Now, this is totally uncalled for. So I have a few questions to pose to Mr. Victor Fu, all right, in terms of family business. Now, many family business have suffered, including Genting, I suppose so, right? There has been a lot of retrenchment in Genting as well, and many other corporate, social, and other corporate organizations. Well, that includes academic institutions as well, such as big organization, or rather big academic or educational institutions like Taylor's as well. Now, this is totally uncalled for. This is a situation where we cannot blame anyone, right? If you want to blame the pandemic, we also need to think carefully. Some blames China, some blames countries, and so on and so forth. I think if we keep on blaming, we will not progress. So the best way is to adapt to the pandemic situation. We do not know when this is going to end. Now, my first question to you, Mr. Fu, when you talk about family business are basically suffering now. Now, is there a family problem in terms of emotion during this pandemic? Right? How do you solve it? What is your take or what is your view on this?
I, I would think that any business starts with family business starts small. There are many companies like Genting started small, and even like Giant for the local supermarket, it started small and they expanded. But eventually they grew into corporation and much bigger. This pandemic has resulted in a lot of financial crisis. And I think if you're the owner, you first make sure that your finances are intact. And it's not the intention of any particular company to lay off people, but you got no choice. If you don't lay off, then you'll be wrapping up your company. So there's no blame game as well. Whether you like it, whether is it this or that reason that the pandemic has started, it has started. And we can't avoid it. Every one of us are affected because if you are not careful, you will be affected. And it's sad to see so many companies closing down and all. But during this point of time, I think basically it has to do with a lot of, first it starts with financials first, because if the financials are not in place and you don't have enough cash flow to sustain your company, you won't last long. And SMEs who cannot have or do not have enough resources will close down. And if you have enough resources, the next thing is how to sustain to make sure it doesn't drop further. And what are the things you should do? Of course, the fastest way would be to downsize, which is a word that nobody wants to normally listen to. Downsize because wages are fixed cost to a company, to any company for that matter. And the next thing you have to do is to rationalize all your fixed costs like utilities. How can you rationalize to reduce your fixed costs like utilities, water, energy saving devices that consumes less energy, which is also good for the green environment, as well as saves you money. The third thing you have is your leadership must be strong and resilient enough to drive and lead the team. And with determination and the support of the company's employees and to understand the situation, I think it will help to drive the situation further because every one of us are in it, not you, not me, but everyone else. And the fourth thing is that how do you maintain your relationship with your employees to make sure that you are doing it to sustain and eventually they get employed, right? I think that's general view of the overall situation, Doctor.
All right. Thank you. All right. I have another question. This can be a little bit controversial. Right. See how it goes. All right. Now, usually family business, whether it's a small business or big corporate, and the top management are always constitute among family members. During pandemic, there's a lot of retrenchment. And normally retrenchments are done on non-family members. Okay. Of course, this is the easy way out. What about the family members who are not performing? What is your take on this?
Well, fortunately for Genting, we don't have interference from family members. Tan Sri Katie, the chairman of the company, has always managed it with a team of senior management. So we don't get interference or directives of conflicting views, thus making the senior management difficult to execute the action plans because I've heard of some family business whereby the owner says something and the daughter says something and the son says something. In the end, the person who is working under them will die, okay? I pity those companies that do that because it makes it very splintered, not focused. Wrong or right, once a decision has been made, we move forward. So Genting has not got that problem, fortunately. And of course, if you're the owner, nepotism will always happen. The world is never fair. You will definitely take care of your own family rather than employees. But in the end, it boils up to whether are you needed in a company or not. If you are a performer, you've got great leadership and contribute to the company, I'm sure the owners will see the value in you to maintain you as a non-family member. All right. So it's not so sensitive because there's no real fields or something that relating to management of the company as a whole that I can remember. Thank you very much.
All right, all right. Can we invite the first panel member, Dr. Furanita, ladies first, all right? Our pretty lady here would like to have a few questions for you, Mr. Victor.
Okay,
Sure.
Dr. Alan, thank you. Okay, so my first question is not a question yet, but just a conversation. As a foreigner, I visited Genting last year, August, and that was my first time. And it was so quiet. And with the place where taking the cable car, it was long-winded for long queue. So it was empty, but I saw the decoration that's supposed to get people into queuing. So I could imagine during the not pre-pandemic, it must be so crowded that lines are needed for people to queue and get into the cable car. And when I got to, it was very quick. I got into the cable car. I went up to the Genting resort area and the casino building. It was such a huge place and quite amazing, but it was so empty. So my mind was thinking like, how did Genting survive through this? I mean, it was empty and such a big entity to maintain.
Yeah. Dr. Farinita, good morning. Basically, during the heydays, we run over 10,000 room inventory, and the occupancies for the hotel was running above 96% year-to-date occupancy, which practically means that every day the hotels are fully booked. And during last August, if you have been there during the when MCO was not on, yes, it has inflicted us a lot in terms of business. It has dropped tremendously. But once you rationalize your cost and your fixed cost, you'll be able to sustain. But I guess that company has also got a lot of cash flow. Not many companies has enough cash flow to sustain and will wrap up. So yes, but the question is, how long will a cash flow last? And being a shareholder, being the owner of the company, I don't think anybody wants their percentage of wealth to further depreciate. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Victor. So that leads to my next question. So as a researcher, when we research on family business, from the research point of view, we have identified a few resources specific to family business. So one of them would be the resources that family wealth as one of the resources. So you mentioned about cash flow. Genting is able to sustain until now. It's through a lot of cash flow. So does this cash flow in Genting actually related to the family wealth as well? Because we believe that family business can sustain because of their own pocket of family wealth.
Yes, it depends on how deep is your pocket. But eventually, Genting is a public listed company. So the owners, of course, will have the bulk of the shareholding. And yes, if the business drops further and the company keeps pumping in money to sustain the business, the owner will also fork out from his own shareholdings to contribute to sustain. Because Genting is not a company just opened up yesterday. It's been open for, I think this year is the 56th year now, since 1965. And started off with the father, Tan Sri Lim Ko Tong. And it is a name that I think every single person in Malaysia would have in one time or another been to Genting, whether you're young or whether you're old. I think every one of us would have been at least once. It is next to our heart. And to maintain it, of course, as much as there are emotional values attached to it, it's all still boils up to financials and see whether you can sustain and keep it afloat. All right, so how much more money to pump in? The question is how prudent you are in resuscitating the challenges you are doing. And along the way, of course, there are also other opportunities. If business is not doing well, what else should you be doing instead to explore? There are new things that Genting, that I'm aware Genting is doing now, which I think I highly agree with what they're doing, and I can share with you later as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just one quick last question. So it was very interesting to hear that Genting seems to be run very professionally, because from outsiders' point of view, we on one hand we know Genting as a very like you say, every Malaysian that have been there and know Genting, it's a place to have entertainment and all that. On the other hand, people know Genting from the news, from the fields, from the family members. So it was quite very interesting to me that aside from families members field, within the organization is actually professionally run. So do you mean to say that you guys have very independent board, so none of the families are in the board of directors to make decision?
We don't get different directives. The chairman makes a decision, I said now, but the field has got nothing to do with the operations of the company. Whatever fields that they have privately among their families, amongst themselves, and we do not, it doesn't affect the company at all. Because like I said, Genting is a public listed company, managed, and people will only buy your shares if you are well managed and you've got huge company profile to sustain and to continue to grow the company. So fortunately, we don't have that effect on what is between the shares between the family members, the nephews or whatever. We just read it and just pass on. We just run normal. And Genting is very dynamic. During my time over the years, we have frequently changed. When a decision is made, we move forward, make a decision. However, if it doesn't yield the result that you so desire, change, move on. There's nothing wrong to admit that, okay, this strategy did not work out. Let's not sulk over it. Change. We are always changing. So much so that sometimes we move so fast that it is so dynamic. The company is very dynamic. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Victor Fu. That's all from me.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Farah. Before we move on to Dr. Lin with his questions, I have one question on the chat box here. I will read it out. Perhaps Mr. Wee can address to this issue. The pandemic has a very serious impact on the hospitality industry. This was from Nazri Muhammad. Many hotels have closed down, and the latest was EQ Penang. I'm sorry, I do not know whether EQ Penang was managed by family members. Perhaps Mr. Pu can elaborate on this. The question is, how will the hospitality industry recover, or will it recover for the next 1 to 2 years? And how long will it take to recover?
Well, this is a magic question. Nobody knows precisely when you'll recover, okay? If I know, then I'll be God. Unfortunately, I'm not. Everybody hopes that you'll get over as soon as possible. And yes, hotels, fatalities, like the one Equatorial in Penang recently closed down. Even I heard a Sheng Rasa Sayang in Penang was also affected as well. So these are news that goes on. It's unfortunate because those are companies that's been open over the years. But then again, you must understand business is run not by one person, and it's a entity, or if they are public listed, they are answerable to the board. And sometimes it's good to break losses rather than further bleeding and get nothing in return. So it's just financial situation, no wrong or right. The question is how long can you sustain and withstand the losses in terms of financial losses. It's a pity because a lot of employees who were working there for many years, long-term service staff, they had to leave. That's a sad reality, unfortunately. And did that answer the question, Dr. Ilan?
I'm not sure this was from Nasri. We'll wait for his reply to the chat box and see. All right, we will move on. I would like to invite Dr. Lim Boon Leong to ask a few questions.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you, Dr. Alan. Thank you. Okay, welcome, Mr. Victor, to our webinar. Okay, actually, my research is more on the business setting. Okay, then Genting Highland, not mistaken, is a gaming industry. Okay, so gaming industry, and another good word is so-called entertainment, like the Macau, all the people. But there's a lot of negative effect to the social, especially those who are involved in gambling, and then they have a lot of issue, their family issue, then the debt issue, that kind of thing. So by judging and this, in the point of view of before we move on to pandemic issue, I just want to clarify between how the content point of view, a scene industry. Normally we include this kind of gaming industry, tobacco industry, as a scene industry in our sense, because they have a negative effect, harm to the public. So how Genting Highland, tag along with the point of the CSR and also the scene industry, how do you want to balance up these two in order to contribute back to the society, but at the end, you're also harming the society as well. So this point of view, how Genting make a balance or what you call the equivalent line between these two, scene and also business setting.
Morning, Dr. Lin. To answer your question, I think Genting projects itself as an integrated resort over the years, and gaming is only one of the elements. The resort has got a lot of nice accommodations, a lot of the theme park, and the new theme park hopefully will be materializing sometime this year. They got a lot of nice F&B and very diversified variety of F&B outlets, as well as shopping for those who are shopping. So when you say scene industry, unless you go strictly to Genting to gamble, then yes, it depends on what level of gamer or gambler you are. People go there for entertainment. I may be gaming with certain limits for a couple of days, and then spend my time with the nice weather there and the other offerings that the resort has to offer. Of course, if you're asking about CSR, yes, they have got a responsible gaming committee. The company has established that many years ago, and people who are actually addicted to gaming can bar themselves from the casino. So much so that if you feel that they are too much addicted and they don't want to come back, then they submit their names, and the next time the company will not allow them to go in. It's a mutual understanding. So, but where gaming is concerned, whether you call it sinful or not, the question is everybody in life has a choice. You decide what you want to do. There's no wrong or right to it. And you must be accountable for the outcome of your actions.
True.
And you feel that you cannot sustain and continue to gamble, of course, nothing is enough. When is enough? That's life. So go there to enjoy, and not to come back wounded and broke. Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Dr. Lin. Yeah.
Yes, very good. It's very good. Okay. One more thing is about the family business. Okay. How CSR will help you gone through the kind of pandemic? Do you think that CSR will help you to overcome or to heal your company during this crisis? Do you think it's effective or not? Because at the point of view that CSR more like people dumping money. I don't know whether it's any return or not. But my research showed that CSR, help them. But in the abnormal situation like the crisis, this period, do you think that CSR will help, especially those family business who want to engage more in CSR? Can I overcome this crisis smoothly, or yeah?
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Lee, I got a question.
Okay.
Yeah, CSR basically encompasses not just during COVID-19 or epidemic situation. It is part of corporate governance for the company. And the company has got strong CSR in terms of community contribution, in terms of environmental concerns, how you take care of the people, how you take care of the organization, how to take care of the environment, goes a long way to give the reputation of the company. So whether it's epidemic or not, CSR has always been there. And if you Google enough, I think Genting has got one of the best CSR practices in the region, if not the world. And there are annual reports on CSR, which encompasses people and the community and the environment. So Google it and you get more details of that. So CSR has indeed contributed. And of course, with the epidemic that's going on, and it's how you enforce. A company that opens up and say they'll do this or that must enforce what they promise to do. If you say come to Genting, the place is safe, we'll impose all the SOPs in place. But if people go there and you don't impose all the regulatory requirements and SOP and don't police the enforcement, people will just say, just talk only, no action, you know. So you must do what you say, lah. Right? A lot of companies has been cited by the media. Certain companies that, oh, they take care of the staff very well, they do social distancing. I will not mention companies, but I'm sure in the viral social media, certain companies has been highlighted that a lot of the employees all were inflicted with this particular disease, unfortunately. We don't want, a company should not come to that nature because it will affect your reputation of the company.
Yep.
And it end the shareholding and the public confidence in the company's profile. Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Dr. Lin.
True. Very good answer. One more last question is about the employee welfare. As we know that, especially I'm doing a research on the with UM University about the tourism economic impact. Okay, they find that a lot of company, especially enterprises that involved in the hospitality tourism, is shutting down. Okay, or we call they cannot sustain. So for Genting Highland, I think what kind of measure or what the countermeasure, what the action to protect the employee welfare during this pandemic? Any action or any move, or any countermeasure, rather than just what you call retrench them or whatever? Protect them. I mean more on the employee welfare.
I'll address this in two situations. When the pandemic started in Genting last year, we were very serious and we had daily meetings, board senior management meetings on how to address it. First and foremost, they are almost close to, I think now maybe lesser. We used to have around 14 or 15,000 employees based up there. And 14,000 to 15,000 employees is a huge resource to manage. And the last thing we want is to get the employees contracting the particular disease. So enforcement were in place on we need to, some of the action plan basically covers, we need to register ourselves everywhere we go. There are QR codes, there are scanning, and then we also have traceability to know who has been where and when. All employees were compulsory to do it. And social distancing is a common thing. Wearing the PPE, protection, personal protective equipments is also part of it. The company, even though during that time, the restaurants, almost 80 to 90% of the public restaurants were closed, because we must reduce the source of cross-contamination. the more you control the source of contamination, the more you're able to manage it. So you must come from a reliable source that has to feed all the employees who are there.
True.
Whether they're working or not, whether before they are retrenched, they are there. And they cannot go elsewhere to eat, so they must be eating somewhere. And they are all housed in the quarters as well. So enforcement are in place. A lot of policies are in place to adherence by the SOP. So basically, Genting did a very good job to take care of all the employees who were there then. And for retrenchment wise, labor law is always the last in, first out policy.
I see.
So it's fair and equitable to everybody. And along the way, even though you are retrenched or asked to leave, I think the compensation plan to let people go has also got to be equitable to the contribution that employee has contributed in the past to the company. So if you have done that, I think a company will not be run down by somebody who's been sacked and said, yes, I'm leaving because of the situation. Yes, it is sad, but I got a fair compensation before I left. So hopefully the compensation will last you until the pandemic goes over.
Yes.
And I think once the COVID-19 recovers, the opportunity for economy is humongous. A lot of places don't have staff and they'll be all fighting for staff. Okay, I want to employ this, I want to employ that, because business is back to normal. You need resources to work.
True, true.
So if you're there and you're knowledgeable and you have the experience to run it, then I don't think there's a problem in getting a job. It's now how to stand for the next couple of months until it's recovered. So it will be a huge economy opportunity when it recovers. I can't look forward to that particular period. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Lin.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm done, Dr. Ellen. Again, you can open to the floor to have questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr.
Most welcome.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lin. Let's look at the chat box here. I have two questions. The first one is from Lee Kim Lian. It sounds like this. How can we deal with family members who are employees and not contributing in family business scenario? The owner, the father, had no longer the major shareholder, and can the management team reassign the role of the said employees and yet not to be considered as demotion?
Mr. Lin, I think that's a very tough question to answer, okay? If the owner put their kids in the family to run and the guy is not performing because he thinks that he is the owner's son, is something that you have to manage. There are two choices in life. If you're not happy with the place, then you leave. If it continues to do like that, I think the morale of the overall company will be affected because of one person who happens to be the son of the owner. And everybody says, oh, okay, the guy is there, he's not doing anything, not contributing. Yes and no. He still have a golden spoon to be fed. You don't have that choice. You have to be unhappy, yes, and how to be diplomatic about how you address the situation. You feel so, then maybe it's good to voice out your discomfort to the company that you're working for, to your senior management, and see how they address it. Perhaps, you never know, they might want to have a word with the owner or the owner's son for that matter to say that, hey, the employees are feeling the brunt of the negativity that you're creating in the environment, which is not good for the company. But don't get into the other wrong side of the stick, because it might affect your career as well. But I said in life, there's always a choice. If you're not happy where you're working, if you're not happy with your leader, you're not happy with your superior, find another job. So much for loyalty, okay? But if you feel that your superior has taken good care of you and groom you to develop without being selfish, then you should know who your leaders are, who your workers are, and who you should be working for. You decide on that. Thank you.
The second question from the chat box sounds like this. One of the corporate governance, this is from Dr. Shafi, all right? One of the corporate governance issues with the family-owned business in Malaysia is lack of structured succession planning. Will this issue affect those companies now that the pandemic is affecting many family-owned business?
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Shafiq, is it, Leland?
Yep. Yeah.
I think for any big companies, it depends on succession to sustain. Then again, there are many corporations of which family members might be earmarked for succession planning. It boils up to two things. First, whether you have the knowledge, the know-how to manage. And the next thing is, how's your relationship with people and your interpersonal skills? Nobody manage a company alone by themselves. You need people to manage for you. And if you don't know, get somebody who knows how to do it. Right? Nobody knows everything. That's life. And those with proper succession planning and to continue with the next and future generations have managed to sustain the parents or the grandparents' business. There are different choices. There are also children of owners who doesn't want to get involved in the family's business at all. So what to do if they don't want to join? You can't force them, right? And if they do go in also, they might not bring the company to another level and maybe even wrap it up. So ultimately, it depends on the situation. And if there's no successes, then they have to find for somebody that they trust and somebody who is dedicated and committed enough to manage the company for the owners. All right. Thank you.
Victor, for the answer. I have two questions for you. One of them is this. When you talk about family business, it consists of family members. And I have read a couple of journals and I have discovered this. Most of the family business in Malaysia are masculine dominated. The feminine were not given an opportunity, even though it is family, all right? So you always find the women does not take the lead or role in the family business. Looking at Genting, I believe there is one member there, but I'm not very sure. I think you will be the best person to elaborate on this. So what is your take on women taking the lead role in the family business?
I'm not a sexist and a discriminative. I think ultimately, two things in general, if you feel that a person is competent enough to run a business, be it a male or a female, it's up to the parents to decide who to take the realm. Unless you want favoritism, but if the guy is unfortunately not as potential to take over the business, then the parents has made a choice. So if any downfall, don't blame the choice that they have made. Nobody guarantees success. It's endurance, is grit, and how you change with times in view of different changing situation. What we did last time and this time differs. And if you are not willing to change, then you'll be extinct. So whether it's a male or female, I got no particular preference as to who can run the company. If I own a company, I'll decide the person who can actually build my empire, not to run down the empire, be it a male or female. But then in the context of the Asian culture, the male has always been the torch bearers of the family, etc. So the choice is there, no right or wrong, you decide. It's your company. So, whether they pass it to the son, and of course, if you want to give to a son, and whoever is competent deserves that position. And, in the end, there are also politics that might happen within the family. If it does happen, hopefully not, then there's also a saying, no matter how rich a company is, if it's not properly run, it closes in 3 generations. It will last you 3 generations the most. But if you have a good follow through, then you'll continue to grow in multiple folds. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Victor, for the answer. Continuing from where you stopped, the last 3 generations. Now, this was a burning question from me. Now, I noticed that in Malaysia, most of the family business are being dominated by the Chinese community, all right? Whether we like it or not, that is the true fact, all right? Now, I also have a couple of friends who are Chinese, and through our discussion, many of them have told me that most traditional Chinese family business only lasts for 3 generations. I do not know to what extent is this true. Now, would you like to elaborate on this?
Well, when I said last for 3 generations, Dr. Ilan, it basically depends on the succession planning. And if you have a good successor, it will last for many, many generations. However, if it's been neglected and not properly governed, then unfortunately you'll go down the drain. That's life. But I think 3 generations is something that we hear of frequently. It basically refers to companies that are not well managed, and if they don't actually have good succession planning. Whether the Chinese runs business or not, I'm not a businessman. Neither is a lot of Chinese who are businessmen. So I don't think it should be generalized that all Chinese are good businessmen. There are also people who are better. There are people who are not so good as well. I think in any particular race, there are very smart people irrespective of the race. And if you're hardworking, if you're smart enough, then you'll grow. So the Chinese, of course, being in the blood, they are more business-minded. I think that's why it makes them more resilient to be in what they are today than other races in the country. But nevertheless, they are also very successful non-Chinese who have also succeeded. So it's a bit hard to generalize, but unfortunately, the demographic in the country is such. The country's business are majority run by Chinese. But however, don't forget, whoever runs the business creates employment. It drives the economy. And the governance of the government is there to tax whatever profits you make. That's where the tax money goes to, back to the community. So if every other business that doesn't make money, what is there to tax? There's nothing to tax. So the more you make, the more you pay. I think it's fair and equitable. The more you make, you get tax higher. The less you make, you get less tax. Just as our income tax, the same thing happens. So that's the environment we are in. So put aside the race factor, because anybody that drives the economy, irrespective of race, drives the economy of the country, not of any particular race. It's something that everybody has to open up their mind to it. So meritocracy is very important. You don't want substandard graduates to manage the future generation of the country. The lower your education level is, you compromise on the workforce that you have in the future of any country. If you appreciate people with merits, then the person will grow, the company will grow, and the country will grow as a whole. Yeah, that's my view, personal view, Doctor. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Victor, for the fair and just answer from you. I think among our panels, if we do not have any other question, I would like to open to the public now. If there is anyone would like to ask or pose question to Mr. Victor, or any of the panel members will also be able to answer your question. Right, the floor is open now.
One quick question.
All right,
one quick question for the public, sorry. So
Sure.
from the non-family members' point of view, right? So I know from research into family firms, in the past, we are always researching about the family side, but now we are also researching from the non-family side. So from the family side, I was just going back to the questions like how family members are not contributing, and yet they are in the position. Some family firms, they have family members having the director's rep title, not working, just receiving salary just because they're family member. So this creates a lot of some kind of sentimental from the non-family employees. Non-family employees, sometimes they work for a family firm, they feel that this is so unfair. I'm also the director or I'm a manager, but he or she is the son or the daughter. And some of them feel that I don't want to work for family firm because there's no future for progression because family members are always prioritized. So it seems to me Genting is very professionalized. It doesn't go that way, having the family members, just doing nothing with the position.
Dr. Farah, just to quote, yes, it's unfortunate when we got non-performers, family members in any company for that matter. It doesn't matter for Genting or otherwise, but fortunately it doesn't happen in Genting. There's no interference. There's one top direction from the chairman to the senior management. And then the message is driven down. And it's easier to work that way because there's one direction and one voice that everybody follows. And you don't have divergent strategies that, no buy-ins and all these things. So we are fortunately that is happening over there. And I'm sure you'll lift Genting Highlands to the next level to overcome this current situation and even go stronger because it has gone from a local company in Genting to an international company all over the world. And the chairman is always on hands with the management of the company. He has regular meetings with the senior management to drive the direction, and he shares his vision on how to move forward. And of course, everybody will have to contribute their ideas on how to contribute to the company or the growth of the company as a whole. So yes, we are lucky to in that case, previously in Genting, and I think it will continue to be that way because that's how it's been managed over the past years. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Dr. Farah.
Yes, Mr. Fu, yes. I guess other family business can learn from Genting in a way that not get family members involved too much, run it professionally, and have one leader, visionary leader, family member leader that leads the company.
Yeah, there are also companies that it depends whether you're public listed. If you're public listed and then if a person is put in a position that doesn't perform, that's where the EGM shareholders can voice out their discomfort. But if you're not public listed, I think the owners still have the final say of what he wants, who he puts there. It doesn't matter whether we are against family members or not. The question is, do you have a competent person to succeed or a family member to run the company? If they are not, then it's a choice. And you know the outcome depending on the choice that you make. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fu.
Correct. Thank you, Dr. Franita, and thank you, Dr. Fu. I have one question from the chat box. This is from Joanne Lim. The question is this: what are the top 3 focus to recover from current COVID?
Well, I'm giving my personal view, not Genting's view. Okay, first and foremost, you have to protect yourself first. Meaning following the SOP. There's more than 3 steps actually. The next thing is, if you're not protecting yourself, don't risk others. The 4th thing, don't risk your family. Don't risk the company that you're working for. And in view of the current situation, I think for the past year during epidemic, I think the plants has never grown so well, okay? The plants and the environment has thrived much better because there's less pollution, there's less dirt, there's less dust in the air. And the environment is where we live in. So you must sustain the environment. And if it's home business, I'm a very avid person on green gardening and all. Start by doing some planting in your office, in your home, in your garden, and grow some things, because the green plants will refresh the air on the environment that we live in. You got nothing to do, grow some plants instead of watching TV or take care of a garden. Or then in the end, you know, if you have a nice garden and you grow your own vegetables, don't forget that the fruits that you grow and vegetables that you grow, I truly profess by this, you have your own farm to table concept in your own house. You know what you're eating, you know what you put into the plants, and it helps the environment. The next thing is, if you do well, there are many companies who has gone into green agriculture. If you have a land, do something with the barren land. Make it productive, make it bountiful, make it fruitful for you. If office space, people are going into hydroponics, even though in-house agriculture, even offices can start doing that. Why leave the space empty? Don't forget, whatever you grow, in the end, you'll be food for the company and for the people that work there. So this is the best time to do it if you don't have so much business or so much customers to keep you occupied. Until it recovers, by that time, you would have already established something green for your company and your house. So that would be my advice, do something, and if you can help the community to do some community project in terms of natural compost fertilizer, natural farming, do it, because the waste and the garbage that we throw every day has value. It regenerates, it revives, and it grows the environment. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Victor Fu. The same person, Joanne Lim, has posted question number 2 for you. Learning from this pandemic, what can corporates put in place to buffer similar situations?
I think this pandemic is a new pandemic to every one of us. Even the vaccines are new. As it is, around the world, people have put into place all the SOPs on the do's and don'ts on what you should follow. So that is the guiding principle for the moment. And whether is there a cure, we don't know. Whether it be fully eradicated from Earth, we don't know. The question is, how do we manage while it's still here? And for a corporation to manage it, unless you take care of the employees that work for you, there'll be no people to work for you. And a sick employee cannot work for you. And a sick employee from the company will affect customer patronage to the company. And business will fall. So if you don't take care of your own internal one, how do you expect customers to come to your place and expose themselves? No one is going to do that, right? So company says a lot of things, but I think a lot of policing and enforcement has to be in place to make sure that it is done. They need to have an audit team to make sure that the people are doing what they're supposed to do. That's what Genting did anyway. So otherwise, people might be laissez-faire. They don't care much about things, and you know, before you know it, one case comes up. Oh, that supermarket got a case. The next whole week, nobody appears in the supermarket anymore, and nobody goes to their feature because they are concerned for their being exposed. So it applies the same for any company and any corporation for that matter. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you, Victor. Is there any other questions from the floor? Anyone would like to ask? You can either put it on the chat box or you can unmute and ask question.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes.
I posed the question earlier to Victor Fu. By the way, I'm Dr. Shafi. I wasn't having in mind Genting Corporation because I know from my own research and studies that Genting is probably one of the best managed public listed companies in Malaysia. What I had in mind was, although I wasn't very explicit in my question earlier, I had in mind 2 family-owned companies which are having issues with succession planning. One of which is a Teh Hong Piao's public bank, and the other one is a Yo Tiong Lei group. Now there's some squabbling going on between the siblings, between the children. So that's what I had in mind when I posed my question. I would like your thoughts on this.
Dr. Shafiq, I unfortunately will not be able to comment on that, on how public bank does it or YTL does it. Well, the succession planning, like I said, it boils up to whether they have somebody competent to run. If they have a family who is competent to run well and good, then moving forward, you'll be able to be done. If they don't have a family member who is competent to do, then it's only timely that the owners find somebody who's competent to run the company that they feel comfortable with. You cannot force an ass to move if it doesn't want to move, right? So if you, by forcing someone in that position, it might be detrimental to the company, Dr. Shafiq. And it boils out to competence, competence and knowledge and people person to manage the company. I hope it answers your question. I unfortunately cannot answer why they do not have a successor for their own personal empire that they have, which is huge. YTL, public bank are big corporations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most
If
welcome.
I may jump in.
Yeah.
If I may jump in to answer that question from educators' point of view, that's why we need to educate the family business owners and successors.
Correct. Totally correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very from the Chinese families, the Asian families usually not Asian. Even you see the royal family in the UK, it's the firstborn son that is a successor. Look at the royal family; they are family business too. And it's just a tradition in the family, whether the person is competent or not, but because of last name, because of blood, firstborn son is always appointed as a successor, whether competent or not. So I think us as educator, we can educate them better in terms of like what Mr. Fu said, choose a competent person or train the person to be competent. My internet is unstable. Okay, that's just jumping in from the educator's point of view.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, thanks all. I have a few thoughts as well. All right, from my experience on the pandemic and also as the academic during the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, I also was involved in writing several research papers, and one of it that I have discovered based on my secondary data analysis is this. The main thing to look forward to in terms of strategy for family business during pandemic is to ensure we have the right reserves. So one of the key topics that we always learn from strategic management is the PESTEL. PESTEL simply means political, economical, social, technological, ecological, and legal factors. All right. So what we always fail to understand is the ecological factor. We only concentrate on the economical factor, and we also don't consider the political factor. In fact, when I talk about the political issues to my friend, many of my friends just ignore. No, I'm not interested in politics. But then if you are in business, you cannot go away from the politics. Now look at the current situation in Malaysia. Many businesses are affected. I wouldn't want to say that political factor could be one of the reasons. Of course, it is basically an effect from the ecological factor. All right, so many of us actually fail to understand the ecological factor, the residual factor, what is in there in the future, what we need to reserve now to safeguard our family business as well as other employees. Now, this is also one factor that many organizations have failed. Most organizations have closed down because they do not have reserves. So this is where we have to begin with. So when you start a business, you have to have a strategy of your reservation of your financial standings first. Second comes the ethics, all right? So basically when it comes to pandemic, when it comes to situation like this, of course, the employees suffered, all right? They suffered the most and they were told to leave. Of course, we are looking at the business point of view. Of course, in the point of employees are always unhappy. Oh, I was chosen to be retrenched, all right? But then they don't understand the actual factor, right? So the bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is, any form of business, be it that family business or corporate situation, I think the most important thing is the first criteria when you create your strategy is to create a good reserve. Without this, I think organization will not last. Even the hotel industry, look at the current industry now, right? Many hotels have been closed down. This is due to borders being closed, right? If the borders were not closed, hotels will still survive, all right? Just because of the political situation, all right? Of course, the government has to close the border, no choice, all right? Because of one factor, it has affected everything else. So just to reiterate, all right, for those who are listening today, those who are involved in family business, I think the pestle method should be a key indicator, all right, especially when you're talking about external environment. Forget about internal environment, because when your external environment that you are unable to control, of course, you cannot control your political and economical situation. But then the least you can do is to create a good management information system. You need to have a database that tells you what is in store for the future. At least try to draw the graph. Many have learned how to do BCG metrics, Boston Consulting Group metrics. Many have learned Blue Ocean strategy, but none of them actually apply this strategy in the real business. This is the issue that we need to look forward to. All right. Of course, pandemic, we don't have the answer. Like what Victor Fu mentioned, he's not God. Neither are we. All right. So it is all depends on how we manage ourselves. All right. And family business, most of it actually got involved. All right. This is on my take. Is there any more questions that the public would like to answer? Sorry, to question, or you can also put it in the chat box if you have any burning questions for Mr. Fu and the rest of the panel.
Okay, I have a question to Mr. Victor, because linked to the politics side. Okay, doing a business in Malaysia, do you think that political connection is one of the factors for the business success? I mean, throughout your experience in Malaysia, you can think about a view, because I'm also research in the political connection strategy. In order to survive, a lot of what you call the money laundering. I mean, it's a money laundering different from bribery and corruption, though. So money laundering means how you want to laundry the politics in terms of the rules and regulation of policy. So in Malaysia, do you think that if you have a strong connection with the politician, whatever, or party, do you think it's lead you a success or damage your future?
That is a $1 million question, okay? Dr. Lin, earlier on, before I could answer your question, just now what Dr. Ilan mentioned was true. If you get your foundations right, the finances will appear. So get your foundations right in terms of the pestle that you mentioned about, then natural is a natural vicious circle that will come about. And next, to move on to your question you asked, the question is whether you have political connections or not. Most businesses, I think the ideal business should not have any political alignment. The business stays because either it's public listed or you own it. Politicians change. It's something that you cannot avoid because it's driven by the population or the masses. So if you align yourself to any political party, the next time somebody takes over that doesn't like that the old politician, you're also in trouble. Why you do it for? So the appropriate question is who you know that can assist you in whatever way in running your business, whether political or non-political, is okay. If somebody who has the know-how or who has the finance to do crowdfunding for a business, if you're short of finances, if somebody is willing to share their knowledge to help you to grow, then use their resources, right? And I think political alignment is very, very serious. It might result in quick takes in terms of favors, but every favors come with a price. And yes, so much so that, you know, we don't want to be called a corrupted country in terms of bribery and all, which is not too good for the country's reputation at the moment. I think if any business runs with a clear mind and your intentions are good, you will reap the benefit, right? I hope that answers. It's a very general answer to you.
It's very good. It's very, that is an answer that I hope for. Because doing a business, I think, should be clean and sincere rather than you
that's right.
have a kind of connection. Maybe connection-wise, maybe network, or what you say, help you to build a network, or help you to promote your business, or rules and regulation to support subsidy, but not what you call the politician background to help you to get more project. I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, that's right. Networking is very important, Dr. Lim,
true.
Because you need to know people to grow in this in any industry for that matter.
True.
If I always use a simple example. If you've got two persons selling a common product or service, one person you know personally, one person you don't know at all.
True.
Who do you give the business to? Somebody you know, right?
True.
So there's simple basis of networking. I give to somebody who knows because I'm helping them with the business, but then somebody you don't know. Equitable services, equitable products. That's general rule of networking.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the answer. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Lin and Victor. There is one point given by Joanne Lim. Diversification could be one other way to overcome the problem. Again, how hotel industry will do that, I'm not sure. I think Tony Fernandez have gone into super app, all right, from aviation business to some something on the app now, all right. So these are some things that organizations need to think innovatively and see how they can actually diversify. All right, I think we have come to the end of today's forum. All right, I will get the organizers to play the video which was sent by Mr. Victor. All right, I think this is an interesting video.
Of life is that nothing will change unless you change. Nothing will get better unless you get better. It's not about circumstance. It's not about luck. We all get the good and the bad. We all get the challenging events that arrive in our life. That's a normal part of being human. I'm talking about what you choose to do with those circumstances. If you're waiting for the economy to change, if you're waiting for your paycheck to change, waiting for your relationship to change, waiting for something to change, nothing will change. If you want change, you must change.
When you change, everything will change for you. If you want better, you must be better. And when you get better, your life will get better. You must work on yourself more than you work on anything else. You must add more value to others than anyone else does. Take a step back and look at your life closely. What can you improve? Be honest with yourself. In every area of your life, what can you improve? If you're being honest, there will be many areas you can improve. If not, you're either not human or you're lying to yourself. Commit to work on improving those areas. Remove everything unimportant in your life that could get you sidetracked from your goals and purpose. Anything that takes you further away from the life you want, eliminate it. It might be TV. It might be people in your life. It might be unhealthy habits. You know what it is. Look within. Be honest with yourself. This is your life we are talking about. Nothing is more important. Be honest with yourself. Be strong. Have the courage to live the life you want to live, regardless of what anyone else thinks. Nothing will change unless you change. Nothing will get better unless you get better. It's all about you.
The road to success is hard, but it isn't impossible unless you quit. Stick it out, suffer through, show your character, and one day they might speak of you. You, the winner. You, the champion. The one who didn't quit. The one who fought back, fought with heart, with courage.
If you're like most, you'll take the easy path. You won't take action. You won't decide right now to make a change. You won't take action right now on changing your life. But you're not like the rest. You wouldn't be listening to this if you were. Decide right now. This is it. I will take action right now. The second this ends, I'm going to set up my life to win. All things that take me further away from the life I want, out. Positive daily habits, locked in. Working on myself daily, locked in. Reading more, learning more, committing to be better every day. Lock it in. I will receive better because I will be better. I will get change because I will change.
Right, that's the video from Victor, right? Just my last thought for today's forum. I think the pandemic has actually taught us a very good lesson. More so, the pandemic has given us opportunity to do a lot of learning at home because most of us are stuck at home, not doing anything. Some of my colleagues call me up and tell me that, oh, I've become lazy. I don't think you should be lazy because this is where the platform set for you to learn a lot. My 10 years of working experience with the hospitality school has taught me a lot. I have been a better cook than my wife today, right? I have been venturing into the kitchen more often and I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot on the networking. I have learned a lot on the skills. I have learned to write even better research papers. I think we all have to make full use of the time now. This is the time. This is the time that you can relax and do work, all right? I wish I had this pandemic extended, sorry, all right? But probably to another year so that I can actually publish as many papers as I can. I think this is the opportunity for all of us to actually pick up a lot of skills, all right, and make use of the time, all right? I'm sure many of you will hate it when you go back to campus. Oh my God, many of you tells me that, oh, I miss my campus. Well, touch your heart and tell me now, all right? Well, I think I would like to end today's forum. I think I would like to thank Mr. Victor Fu for giving us an insight story about what family business is all about. Thanks to my two panel members, Dr. Faranita and Dr. Lin. And what we are going to do now, please turn on your webcam because the organizers are going to take a group picture. Please do so now, right? All right. So the organizers will be taking your pictures now. All right. Smile. Don't forget to smile because you are home. Nothing much to do except to prepare for your online classes. Thank you, guys. Keep smiling.
Okay, done.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Victor. I think I'm calling you Victor instead of Doctor. I think you better do your PhD now that you are retired. All right, please join us for your PhD. There's so many lecturers in hospitality school and business school will be able to help you, and we are very much gifted to have you around to share a lot of things. All right, I think we can learn a lot from the industry as well. That is what the academicians are yearning to go for. All right. Thank you very much for all of you guys. I think we will end here until we meet for more forums. And all the best. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you much, Dr. Ilan, Dr. Farah, and
thank you, Dr. Victor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and to all participants, thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right.
Stay safe.